4. Aftermath. We've lost 10 park residents total, 8 deaths plus 2 still missing. No humans died, but there are some injuries. We've already started rebuilding. It's funny the way people go right back to it after a tragedy. Everyone comes together. Lots of talk about community and blah, blah, blah. There's a resilient species. They're a resilient species. I'll give them that. It's been 3 weeks and still don't have Kimu back. Suzu either. They've been some sightings, nothing for sure. I worry they can't last long. Wolves aren't native to this part of the world. I like to think they're together at least. Everybody else is back with makeshift domains. Nobody's complaining though. In spite of all the construction, Julia's been taking me to see Ivan and Ruby whenever she can. Today, Ivan leans on the temporary fence separating him from the elephants. Maya made him a medal for valor out of watermelon and cucumber. He's eaten most of it. It's pretty great. Almost everybody was saved from the shelter, ended up with a home, says Ivan, even the annoying bunny. Almost everyone, I remember. I'm so sorry about Boss, he says in his gentle way. From what we can tell, Boss never went to the donut shop. She slipped away and no one knows what happened to her. I try not to feel hurt, but I had this silly fantasy about me and her and Rowdy all hanging out together like a family. And I so wanted her to know what it was like to have a warm bed full and a full bowl and a good ear scratching whenever you need it. I watched her. I wanted to show her she deserved that and so many that as much as any dog. I guess she'd lived life too long on her own terms, or maybe she was afraid to get her hopes up. To trust. I understand. I've been there and I've done that. But sometimes humans don't let you down. Sometimes they can even come to rescue. Riddle. Uncle Bob, Ruby calls, galloping over. She seems more confident these days, a little more grown up. Stella would be proud, and I know I am. Want to hear my new riddle? Absolutely, I do. Ruby flaps her ears. She does she does that when she gets excited. What has an eye but cannot see? I'm perplexed, Ruby, pondering and puzzled. A hurricane, she exclaims. Good one, Ruby. First rate. I look at Ivan. We smile at each other. We don't need to say anything. It's enough to listen to the palm trees rustle and watch the grass sway away. Working on it. On the way home, we pass the shelter. It's been patched up pretty well, looks like, and they're back in business. I hear the usual yelps and howls and hisses and meows, and I feel like always, I feel lousy. I plop down on the sidewalk and Julia stops walking. What's going on, Bob? She asks. I listen like I always do for her bark. That bark. Nope, nothing. I wish Rowdy were here to distract me, but he's still learning how to walk on a tug of war string. He's a pretty swell pup, even if he's a little feisty. I'm surprised how much I like having him around at the house. It's weird. I feel responsible for the little guy, sort of like he's becoming my numero uno. Julia bends down and strokes my head. I wag my tail a little bit and stand slow. I think of poor old Julia stuck in the backyard day and night. I think of Boss roaming the streets. I think of my siblings, the dark night, the box, and the highway. I'm trying hard to find the forgiveness that seems to come so naturally to other dogs. Maybe that's what Boss was getting at. Maybe it's easier to forgive others once you've learned how to forgive yourself. I'm working on it. It's like a bone. Sometimes you have to chew it for a long time before you make any progress. Snickers again. Once we're home, I head to the couch for a snooze. I'm snoozing peacefully with Rowdy when a doozy of a smell, assaults my schnauzer, which is finally back to working. It's her. Snickers is back. She's been gone for a while. After the hurricane, they had to do some repairs to Mac's house. Not sure where Snickers has been staying, but that's definitely her smell. I have no doubt about it. I dive under the couch, but not before Nutwood appears at the front window. "Oh, Bobo," he calls, "someone's looking for you." "Come home," I yell. "Yeah, I don't think she'll take that for an answer," says Nutwood. "Nothing, you've been rebuilding. Shouldn't you be rebuilding your nest?" "Nah, watching you cower in fear is way more fun." "What's the deal, Uncle Bob?" Rowdy asks. "Be afraid, Rowdy," I say. "Be very afraid." The door opens and Julie is with Snickers by her side. "Well, hello there, Snickers," says Sarah as she passes through the living room. "What are you doing here?" "Mac and his wife just moved back in," Julia says. "They called this afternoon and asked Snickers if and said Snickers was dying for a walk." I ease back a little farther and under the couch. "Can Snickers see me?" "Maybe not, but she can definitely smell me." For once I regret my pungent aroma. Snickers darts across the living room, straight to the couch, pulling Julia along her side. "Snickers!" exclaimed Julia. "Slow down, girl." She kneels. "Bob, are you hiding under there?" I move an inch to expose my snout. Snickers goes insane. She yanks free of her tug-of-war string. For a moment she pauses to do a polite nose tap with Rowdy. Then she lets loose with zoomies and yippies and howls of joy. "Bob," Julia says, "come on out and say hi." I pretend not to hear her, which isn't a big stretch, since Snickers is barking like a maniac. "Robert," says Julia. Fine, I belly crawl I I belly crawl out until I'm exposed. Snickers is ecstatic. She showers me with licks and nips and nudges and leaps. "Bob," she coons, "how have I missed you? How I've missed you." I cover my head with my paw, but there's no escaping her admiration. "There's a reason we survived, Bob," she says, her fuzzy tail in high gear. "The fates want us to let our love blossom." "It is this your girlfriend, Uncle Bob?" Rowdy inquires. "Girlfriend today," Snickers responds in a giddy voice, "but you know what tomorrow may bring. Perhaps you should start calling me Aunt Snickers." I'm relieved beyond measure when Julia finally pulls Snickers with great effort out the door. I try to ignore Nutwood's teasing. I try to tolerate Rowdy's stifled laughter. But when Minnie starts chanting Bob and Snickers, followed by Moose sitting in a tree, I've had enough. I head to my doggy door, ignoring the popcorn and guinea pigs, and try to locate my dignity. A visitor. This evening is like lots of other evenings. The guinea pigs are squeaking. Nutwit is putting in his tree. Julia and Sarah and George are watching something about meerkats on the Nature Channel. I've just settled in with Rowdy on the couch when George drops a cookie on the floor. I leap into action. "Robert," says Julia. "Leave it." Briefly, I consider my options, but not for long. At that point, at least I share a peace with Rowdy. "You are hopeless," Julia says, "but I love you anyway." And that's when I hear the bark. It's coming from the porch. "I'll check." That's weird," says George. "I'll check it out." Julia runs to the door and pulls it open. She hesitates. She looks over at me at the back porch and says, "Bob, I think it's for you." And it is. The end. And that is the rest of The One and Only Bob by Katherine Applegate.